What is it that people literally had to step over to deny the African presence, the Black presence in Scripture, and the insight of African theologians?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I would say a point in history, if I can get church history a little bit, if I can start doing a little history just for a second, a really
Definitely.
important event to know about in church history is the Council of Chalcedon, Chalcedon. That was a town in Asia Minor where there was a Roman church council. I say Roman church council because people say church councils and they say stuff happened in the church. And sometimes they're talking about the white church or the Western church or the European church or the Roman church, and they don't put that adjective in front of it. You notice how they'll say Black theology or Hispanic theology or Asian theology, but when it's white men doing it, when it's John Piper or when it's Tim Keller or when it's Jonathan Edwards, it's just theology, right? And so I don't just say like, oh, the early church was doing, no, I say the early European church because there were different church histories for different people. But the Roman church had a council in 451. Now, the first thing we got to know before that is that Christianity was everywhere. I'm from St. Louis, y'all. It was everywhere. It was everywhere in the world. It was like all over the place. It was in Africa. It was in Asia, Ethiopia, India. It was down in India. It was like along on the Silk Road in Persia, Europe, Armenia, Georgia, France. Like it was everywhere. And there was no sense of like Christianity was any one person's religion.
Yeah.
But what had happened was in the 4th century, Constantine became a Christian. Well, allegedly became a Christian.
Right.
He wasn't really a Christian, actually, because he didn't even believe Jesus was God. But Christians felt that he was a Christian. The church, many in the Roman church, were trying to make him a Christian because he believed in making Rome great again. And he wanted to build up a big wall and he wanted to keep all the foreigners out. And so the church loved that Roman supremacy. So they just allowed Jesus to be sprinkled on that mug. And so really what we're seeing today has been around a long time. And so it was a natural result that like as Christianity started to become like an unholy link with Roman imperialism, then it started to be seen for Christians outside of the Roman Empire. They started to be seen as like they had to choose between their culture and their Christianity. And the biggest example of that was actually in Persia because Roman Empire fought the Persian Empire. Now, we got to remember that there was actually a lot of Christians in the Persian Empire. We always talking about the early church in Rome. All the names we always hear about are the people in the Roman Empire. But there were actually a lot of Christians in the Persian Empire. But when Constantine became a Christian, then the Persian king went to the Christians in his kingdom and said, y'all better all convert to Zoroastrianism because that was the main religion of Persia. They said, because if you're a Christian, that means you're a Roman. See, that's when a cultural identity and Christianity started to become linked together. They started to see Christianity as a Roman thing. Nobody had ever seen it like that before. In fact, get this, like before Constantine's conversion, there was actually Christians who escaped the Roman Empire and went into the Persian Empire because it was actually safer there to be a Christian. And I'm talking about like we got to think about what's the Persian Empire today. I'm talking about Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. Like it was safer to be a Christian. That's the same place white Christians like to call the 1040 window. That's the place that's unreached. That's the place. Bro, the gospel been there since day one. The Magi came and they heard the gospel and brought it back. And the church was growing there. And in fact, it was safer to be a Christian in the 200s in Iraq and Afghanistan than it was to be a Christian in Italy or Greece. Because in Italy and Greece and Spain, they was killing Christians. They were anti-Christian in the Roman Empire. But then the situation flipped. And now Persian Christians had to feel like because Christianity is a Roman thing or it's being seen that way, now they're like being martyred and killed for the faith. They're being told you have to choose. You can either get killed or you can renounce Christianity. And many of them died. They said, no, I'm not going to renounce. But they were still down to be Persian. They knew they wasn't Roman. They were like, I'm Persian and proud, but I'm a Christian. And many of them got killed. So when white people, to summarize it, what I'm saying is that when white people started to grab a hold of Christianity and try to make it theirs, try to present it as if it's theirs, that made things harder for non-white Christians. And non-white Christians felt that they had to choose between their cultural identity and their Christian identity. And we're still dealing with that today. We're still, I mean, I talk to Native American people who are Christians, and they're saying like, I got rejected from my tribe. Because they said, you a Christian? Then you're not part of the tribe no more. Because Christianity is the white man's religion. That's the religion that put us on this reservation in the first place and spread disease and oppress us. So you have to choose. You either down with the tribe or you a Christian. And that's not a choice that anybody should ever have to make, because Jesus said that I came for every nation, tribe, and tongue, that all people have a place at the seat of God. And there's no negation of cultural identity. But now white supremacy has put an imposition in place that should have never been there. In fact, that Jesus came to destroy, Paul said in Ephesians 2, the barrier has been destroyed, and white people are trying to build that wall back up again. And so we need to continue to destabilize that and tear that wall down and help people of color understand.